So today we are going to be taking a look at our first lesson towards our novel study, and we will begin reading chapter 1 before the end of the week. At the top of page 470, can I have a volunteer to please read the 2 learning targets? You can read. Need a volunteer to read the learning targets at the top of the page on 470.
Analyze an image and write a paragraph that visually describes it. Use carefully chosen words to create a original opening scene.
Okay, so we've started talking about some of the skills that we will need that are different when it comes to reading a novel as opposed to some of the essays and nonfiction texts that we've read over the course of the year so far. And so today we are going to practice with writing our own openings as we begin to work our way to chapter 1 of our book and think about how the opening of the book is impactful to the reader, okay? For your do now, you have the opening writing prompt on page 470. There is a photo of a house on your page. You are going to describe this scene without using the word house. You can write from any narrative point of view. Okay, now we're going to talk about narrative points of view in just a moment, but first person talks about me, myself, and I. Second person is from outside of the story talking to a character about you. And then third person is someone who is inclusive of everyone talking about them and we. Okay, you should use as many details as possible to help the reader envision and feel what the picture is like to you. Okay, so again, you're going to describe the scene without using the word house, and you should have as many details as possible to help the reader envision and feel the scene. All right, so I'm going to give you all about 7 minutes to do that. Your description should be about 3 to 5 sentences. So you all may go ahead and get started quickly at this time. Whatever you see in the picture is what you're describing. So it doesn't matter where it is, you can create that detail as well. But it doesn't matter where it is, you're using it to describe what you see and what you feel as a result of the picture. And you have 7 minutes to get it done. Tiara and Deja, I'm not going to ask you again because no. Again, your response needs to be approximately 3 to 5 sentences. As many details as you can about what it looks like and what it feels like to you. And you cannot use the word house. So you're describing the picture without using the word house. Okay, what it looks like and what it feels like to you.
You use the word home?
No, that's the same
I was
word.
thinking about
Y'all so smart, too smart for your own good, huh? Yes, you can use place, but you cannot use house or home. Those are synonyms. They are words that mean the exact same thing. Huh? That's stretching it, but I'll let it slide. You're right, because that can describe how it feels to you, right? Because it feels different than a home.
I'm gonna say a building.
Okay.
Can we say
That's
home
fine.
like structure?
Yes, you can use any word that is not house or home. Yes. Yes. That's still house. That's fine. So again, any word that is not house or home, take another 3 or 4 minutes to get it done. You should have at least 3 to 5 sentences. You want to describe both how it looks and how it feels to you. That's how the person drew it. It's not a photo, I don't think. Right, but that's what I'm saying, it's not a photograph. So like a photograph would be of a real house. This is probably either a painting or a digital drawing. But it doesn't look like a picture of someone's house. So that's why it doesn't look as realistic. Because someone either painted it
How
or
would you
created it
describe it without
digitally.
using the word house?
Huh?
How would you describe it without?
That's up to you. You have to describe what the
No, it's
building
not
looks
up to me.
like
I
and
said, how
feels
would
like
you
to
do
you. It's not my answer, it's yours. So when they ask you how it feels, you might want to think about the difference between this house and your house, or this house and your dream house. Does it feel like home? Does it feel safe? Does it feel unsafe? What does this entire image feel like? Is it peaceful? Is it chaotic? What does it feel like to you? So what feelings does it produce as you look at the image? Take another couple of minutes. Most of us are doing well. Make sure that you have as many details as possible. Please do not share your descriptions with your classmates yet. A little bit later, you all will be sharing with your seat partner. It's not based off of the text. It's just it's just a picture. Yep. Nope, it's just a picture. Your ability to look and describe the details. I see some good responses coming together, but you should have about 3 to 5 sentences. And in about a minute or two, I need 2 volunteers that will share their description. Again, how we can envision it, so what do you see and how does it make you feel? Heaven. Open the door. This one? Yeah. No, the middle one. But did you see Blake? Did you see Blake? He might be at the oh. Grab your textbook, Blake, please. And who is your partner? Oh, okay. All right. All right, let's finish up whatever sentence you're currently writing. And I'm gonna take 2 volunteers to share their response. Please turn it off. All right, at this time, I'll take 2 volunteers. Tyra has already volunteered and I need a second. Okay, thank you, Tiara. So Tyra, Well, I'll let Tiara go first because it looked like you're still
Yeah.
writing. Go ahead, Tiara.
I said it looks like an old cottage in the blue, surrounded by flowers and trees,
Okay, peaceful, calming, the trees, the flowers, and the cottage. And so as you all think about your descriptions, you were asking about the difference between house and home. But as you will see, and as many of you were creative enough to figure out, there are lots of different words to describe what a place looks like and feels like without using that specific word. Now, before Tyra shares, what does a cottage make you feel?
So, Snow White, like a small house in the middle of a forest.
Okay, so Kevin, you said homey, right?
Lonely.
You said lonely? Okay, so a cottage makes you feel lonely, but for you, you said it feels like a small house in the middle of the woods, so it's about location. Okay, anybody else, what does cottage make you feel?
Small.
Okay, small. Anybody else? What does cottage make you feel? Versus house or home. Okay, so small, lonely, middle of the woods, maybe isolated. Okay, Tyra, you can go ahead and share your response with us.
An abandoned place in the middle of nowhere, in a forest with tall grass and tall trees, and dandelions surrounding the whole place.
Okay, so abandoned was an important part of your description. Okay, and so still a building, still a physical place. Similar to Tiara, she describes the flowers everywhere, but makes the clear distinction that although this may have been a useful building, may have been a useful place in the past, it is now abandoned. No one should be or is living here, okay? So hopefully you did well to include as many details as you could. You will continue to both write about the details as well as read about these types of vivid details in the course of our novel study. All right, so quickly we're going to talk about point of view. So there are 3 different points of view when an author is writing, and it is the perspective or the angle from which the author writes, okay? So in your book, you have the My Notes section in the margin. I want you to take a couple of brief notes about the point of view, what each of them are and how they work. They are very simple, but there is a specific amount of language that must be used in each of those points of view, okay? So in the My Notes section is where you should be taking notes at this time.
Hello, readers. Today, I want to talk all about me. Well, I want to talk about 3 things. First, I want to talk all about me. Then I'm going to talk about you, and then we're going to talk about them. David, what are you talking about? You're probably asking. Well, in a word, POV. In 3 words, point of view. Every story has a point of view. It's
Make
being
sure you're
told to us
taking
by
notes
someone.
in
A
the
narrator.
margin in the My Notes
Who
section.
is that narrator? Understanding the answer to that question in the stories that you read will make you a strong reader. There are 3 different flavors of point of view. First, second, and third person. First person is when the narrator is a character in the story. They use words like I, me, and mine. Here's an example. I bolted out of bed, grabbed my backpack, and rushed out the door. Today was the day I was finally going to learn to ride a horse. First-person narrators can only tell us the parts of the story that they experienced or already know about. If something happens that the narrator doesn't know about, we, the reader, won't know about it either. Second person is when you are a character in the story. This is pretty rare. A lot of the choose-your-own-adventure books that were popular when I was a kid use second-person point of view, but not as big as they used to be. Imagine a guided relaxation recording when you think of second person. You are calm, Your breathing is slow and even. You are sitting on a bench, looking at the ocean. The ocean is calm, and so are you. This kind of point of view usually sounds like it's giving directions to you, the reader. The most common point of view in stories is the third person, a narrator who isn't a character in the story. A third-person narrator uses words like he, she, and they for characters in the story, instead of I or you. It lets the storyteller get inside the heads of characters to see how they're feeling, or what they're thinking. Here's an example. Benny opened his closet door to grab a jacket, only to be greeted by a horrifying monster. He screamed and ran out of the room, scared out of his mind. Inside her monster costume, Rita giggled. She had tricked her brother. See how we can follow both Rita and Benny? The narrator can see what both of them are thinking or feeling at the same time. Now imagine if that little snippet were told from Rita or Benny's first-person perspectives, Rita using I or Benny using I, instead of a third-person POV using he or she. We might see it differently reading that story. From Rita's perspective, it's a funny prank. From Benny's, it's super scary. He just saw a monster. So to recap, there are 3 different types of narration or points of view in a story. First person, the narrator is a character inside the story and uses words like I or me. Second, uses the pronoun you. This is rare and it sounds like it's giving directions. And third person, the narrator is outside the story. In telling it, they use words like he, she, and they. What's the POV of your favorite story? Is it first person, second, or third? How would it feel different if it were told from a different point of view? Would the narrator know different things? I can tell you one thing I know for certain, and that's that you can learn anything. David out.
All right, so you should have these 3 definitions down to some degree. First person, the narrator is a character inside the story talking about themselves. So I, me, and my are the types of words that they will use. So again, in first person, the narrator or the person telling the story is a character in the story talking about themselves and others around them. Okay, in second person, this becomes an outside view and almost like an advice column. It talks completely to the characters from outside about you, what you feel, what you are doing, what you should be doing. It is an outside look at the story, okay? Speaking directly to you as the character or the reader. Okay, and then lastly, you have third person point of view. The narrator is outside of the story and they are telling it about other people. So they will use pronouns such as he, she, or they, because this person is not involved in the action of the story. Okay, so you can think about first person like being in a story. Second person, you can think about reading the story. And third person, you can think about watching the story. Okay, so again, first person is like being in the story. Second person is like reading the story. And third person is like watching and retelling the story. All right, so these are the 3 different points of view that authors can write from. And these are the 3 points of view that you will be using in your writing, but also identifying in our reading. Okay, and we are going to look very closely in the novel to see if the point of view ever changes. Okay, so we will identify what angle the story is being told from initially, and then we will take a look at whether that point of view then changes. Okay, so take a minute to finish up. Make sure that you've written down these 3 points of view so that you will be able to identify them as well as use them in your own writing very soon. take another minute to finish up your definitions. Some of us are done, but others are still writing, so take another minute to finish up. Which one?
Next to you.
This one?
Oh, but like, you know, second one, right there.
Pronoun?
That's it.
You talking about the purple U or the yellow U?
Purple, you act like.
Yes, that says pronoun.
Learn anything. David?
What do that say?
Where?
Next to N.
At
The third person.
third person?
Yeah. Next to N.
In telling.
Oh.
So in telling the story, they use words like he, she, and they. All right, so now we're gonna take a look at the independent writing task that you all are going to be completing and the instructions for your collaboration with your seat partner. All right, so take a look on page 471 where it says writing prompt. Again, take a look on page 471 where it says writing prompt. And I'm gonna need 2 volunteers to read here, and then we'll talk about your collaboration with your seat partner. 471 in the blue box where it says writing prompt. I need 2 volunteers so that we can split up the reading. Volunteers going once, going twice.
Can I read?
And I need a second volunteer. Or I'll pick a victim. Okay, good. Go ahead.
Describe an original setting by choosing a narrative point of view, picturing the scene in your mind, eye, or finding an image that inspires you, and choosing an appropriate genre. Be sure to.
No, you can stop there.
Okay.
Go ahead and pick up, Kim.
Include imaginary imagery that appeals to many of the senses. Consider different ways you might
Orient.
your reader with telling details. Think about what you want your reader to feel when entering your world. Revisit your opening line when you are finished. Assesses whether it sets the appropriate tone for your setting. Revisiting it as necessary.
Okay, thank you. So you are going to be describing an original setting. This is where you get to totally use your imagination. So Kevin, the image doesn't have to be fake this time. It can be real because you are going to imagine it. You are going to make up this scene, deciding what it looks like and what it feels like to the reader. Okay, you are going to specifically choose one of those 3 points of view that we have just talked about. So either first person, you can be a character in the scene. Second person, you can be outside talking about the people. Or third person, you can be outside and viewing all of the characters together. Okay, so as you describe whatever scene you make up in your mind, either you are going to be a character in the scene, you are going to be a character outside giving advice, or you will be a third person and you will be viewing everyone involved in the scene but still outside, okay? Now, this is where your collaboration will come into play with your seat partner, okay? So, once you have written your description, you are then going to swap books with your partner, okay? And I'm going to give you a couple of sheets of blank paper, okay? Because the graphic webs that we used in 4.3, where you chose one word to describe the scene, you are going to do that again to analyze your partner's scene description, okay? So again, you are going to trade books with your seat partner, and you are going to create the web from page 469 using one word that describes the scene and providing examples from your partner's description that help to explain why that word fits the picture. Okay, so again, you're going to work with your seat partner. Once you have written your description, you are going to trade books, and then you are going to make sure that you use the web to create one word that describes your partner's picture, and then you are going to provide quotes around the outside for evidence of why that word is fitting. Yes, give me 1 second, okay? And then once you have finished with your seat partner, we will be taking the 4.4 quiz as your exit ticket before you leave. Remember that the quiz is only 3 questions, so it will not take you long to complete. All right, so I want you to back up to the blue box on page 471, and I want you to begin working on your description of the writing prompt. If you have questions along the way, you may ask your seat partner first and then let me know, and I will be coming around with your blank paper so that you can recreate the chart from page 468, all right? So you all may go ahead and get started at this time. Let me know if you have questions along the way. Okay, I'll bring your paper in just a second.